Starseed Ascension welcomes guests from a variety of backgrounds to gain perspectives, experiences, and information in the paranormal, spiritual, and ET space. We are a community of spiritual explorers who seek to help raise consciousness. And now, here's your host of Starseed Ascension, Jamie Voss Love.
Hello. Welcome back to Starseed Ascension. I'm your host, Jamie Voss Love, and we have a very exciting guest here for you tonight. And our guest is a 25-year-old Starseed ET contactee who works in the film industry and is currently creating a documentary series on the positive impacts of ET contact. She considers herself to be an activist for all conscious beings, and she is a spiritual coach with a mission of helping the collective heal in order to shift to the highest possible timeline. So please welcome tonight's guest, Chloé De Chevigny.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, an honor to have you. Been so excited to chat, as we said, and excited to get into your work and projects. And Chloé, just wanted to kind of start with your story and learning a little bit about you and how this sort of came to be. And how long, if you want to start with, how far back did you sort of have experiences?
So I do have like a vague memory when I was like under 4 years old. Like I associated the memory as like an owl presence that was like kind of around me, like above me, and it kind of feels like unreal, kind of like a dream, but it was like I remember like the bedroom and everything, but I'm not able, I haven't like remembered fully that memory yet, but I had a past life regression recently, and she was talking to my higher self, and she asked about that incident, and I said that they were probably like gray beings that were just like curious and just like checking up on me. And so, but I still want to dive more deep into that memory. And then I would just say, like, all my life I was the only child, and I would spend some time alone because I didn't have like brothers or sisters, and like my parents were like always with me, but it would happen that like, while they're doing supper, I'm playing downstairs, and I don't know, I just always had that feeling of like not being alone, like as if there was a presence with me, like I wasn't scared of it. I didn't feel alone. And I also like always had a feeling of like that it wasn't my first incarnation, so that like was there like throughout my whole life. And then throughout high school, I also like was a very anxious child, and very sensitive to like energies, and like I could feel like how my parents were feeling, and like I haven't like been through like any big traumas or anything, so but I was still very in tune with like my surroundings and everything, and I was very scared of like I had trouble sleeping. And I also like at one point, I'm between 7 and 9 years old. For me to be able to fall asleep, I was saying like a prayer in my head where I was saying like, please do not come and get me, but I would inverse the words so it's not too clear. but enough clear so that they understand. But my parents weren't religious, so I wasn't aware of like dark energies and all of that. But I was still saying that in my head, as if I'm not giving you my consent. So weird stuff like that happened like throughout my whole like high school. And then, but the first UFOs that I saw, I'm not sure if they're like crafts or orbs. I see them as orbs, but some of them are like very up high, so I'm not sure, is it a craft, but I'm only seeing a light. And that started last summer. But I grew up like my dad was would collect movies. Like he has over like 3,000 like movies like in the collection in his basement. So I grew up watching all the science fiction movies. And I don't know, like he filmed me like when I was really young watching ET, and I'm just like eyes locked in the TV. And I remember how like I just wanted to be ET's friend. And I'm like, I also want to interact with the extraterrestrial. So it always has been like in me. But
Wow.
my first UFOs were last summer.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on a journey then. Would you say when you were talking about the owl, would that be something like a screen memory, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was because they knew how sensitive and maybe afraid I was, like being alone in the dark in my bedroom, and maybe they to protect me. That's how I perceived that event. And I don't know if whenever I dive deeper, will I actually remember seeing them, or is that how they like projected themselves? I don't know.
Right. And then so under hypnosis or the regression, it sounded like it was grays that came through. Do you feel like that's part of a starseed connection for you, or just feel like there's just another relationship that you have?
I mean, I feel like I might be connected to multiple like star races, if we can say, but
Sure.
the Lyrans are like more I feel more connected to than the other ones. I've always had cats in my life, and like I was so close to my cat that I had from 4 to 18 years old. And it was like as soon as I would cry, she would come and lay on my chest. And like now I think like she's part of my soul family. And she passed away, but I feel her energy like still around me. And so I've always had cats, and people like, I don't know, they're like, oh, if you were an animal, you would be a cat. So I mean, it's not just that. Like I did a lot of research on the Lyrans, and I even had like a past life memory of being on another planet, and like tall white lion beings. And in my past life regression, she was like, do you have a message for Chloe at this time? And telepathically they told me like keep going no matter what. You're a peace warrior, like not a warrior in a sense like physically like fight, but like with my knowledge, and like staying authentic, and sharing this knowledge of like what's really going on right now on the planet with like the reptilians and everything. Like all of that came to me like in like more recently. But it's like every time I watch documentaries or podcasts, whatever, and they talk about it, I'm like, it resonates so much, because I always question authority, or even just the school system. And I'm like, I don't want to be learning this specific. It's just early understood that like there's something sketch going on here. So I feel like that's part of my mission as a starseed, to like, I want people to be aware of what's really going on. Like I find it's a crime to hide this information. And anyways, it's very passionate, a very passionate topic for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And and I know that you talk about a mission to kind of highlight positive impacts of ET. So it sounds like you feel very protected and safe. And, as you were mentioning, even the Lyran, I love that because, they say trust what feels to be true to you, right? That you feel that connection. And you mentioned the reptilian and what's going on. What do you feel is going on?
I feel like there's been like a spiritual war like on the planet, and even just like in the entire universe, if you want to call it that, multiverse. And I was actually recently watching Elizabeth April's content like on her website, and she was talking about how the Earth is a prophecy planet, and how like a long time ago, like a species said, an ancient species said, like one day there's gonna be a race, a race of beings that are gonna put an end to this war that's been going on with like the low frequency versus the higher frequency. And so she's saying that like how important we are, and like that people question themselves of like, are we just like, humans on a planet, but we're actually like very powerful beings. And I resonate so much with what she's saying. And so yeah, sorry, I forgot what the initial question was.
You answered it. You did great.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah, so it definitely, there's a connection with frequency happening. And do you connect that to feeling as a starseed part of your mission to help raise frequency? And what other things do you feel are part of that mission for you?
It's just like for all the people who are just like living their normal life, like just not really like questioning like certain things. I just want to be able to like reach those people and say like, listen, this is happening, like it, and like they're trying to like put fear into us. And listen, I'm sensitive, and like I always considered myself to be someone with anxiety and even depression. So like I get it. Like it's hard when you're in those low vibrations and everything. But like once you're aware of like who you truly are, it's like it gets harder for them to like come like get you, if because you're aware that like, oh, it's not my first lifetime. Oh, I'm a very powerful being, like you can't really like get to me. And that's like, I just want people to know what's really going on, and to be able to like heal their past traumas, and like be able to like release it, like purge and release, and like be able to be empowered in this moment, and not fear that something bad is going to happen, because it has happened in the past. Like I believe we're creators of our own realities. So it's all of that, and everything is connected. So like, yes, I'm in the film industry, but I want to make documentaries to inform people, and to eventually, like, I want my projects to like be an activation, like you were saying before, that like it's an experience. They're experiencing like what ET contactees have experienced, and like with like I just want it to be like a fun experience for everyone to go through and be like, oh, finally, like I want to maybe contact extraterrestrials. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And which I love, I'm all about for sure. And you are so young, Chloe. Like, did you come in, do you feel like, from a recent sort of intergalactic lifetime, or does it feel like you've had many Earth lifetimes?
That's a good question. But I like growing up, I went through so many like phases like of like styles and like hair, and I've had all the different colored hair. It's like I feel like I have like I expressed so many different identities within who I am. And every time I would like watch a movie on the 50s or any decade, it's like I resonate with um the that decade and like what was going on, the music, like everything. And I've had like I've had like 3 dreams where I died in my dream, and I had like a near death experience in my dream. And it's like I was in this black void, and I felt my soul go like just like expand. And I also had the experience once on magic mushrooms where I didn't take that much, and no, but I just want like when I take psychedelics, it's to have a experience. It's not like I don't do it for a party drug. I just want to mention that. And I like popped out of my body, and I was in again this black void, and it's like I was just everything. And I was crying of like I'm like I've always knew it's not my first incarnation. I was like, because before that instant it was like I was thinking of like all the conflicts I had with my parents and all of that. And then when I was in that zone, that state, I was like, it doesn't matter. Nothing, like, not that it doesn't matter, but it's all like a dream per se. And like there's so much more going on than what we think. So yeah.
I love that. Hey, I'm a fan of plant medicine, and I feel like it can help our consciousness make sense of things that are so, can be so wild to comprehend, until that veil is lifted and we kind of connect those dots. And so you mentioned like your dad and having all of these films and movies, which is super cool. And I understand he was in the military, or is in the military. Is that correct?
He was. Now he's retired, but he was in the Canadian military. Yeah.
Okay. Did he ever disclose any kind of sightings that he had witnessed himself? Did you guys ever talk about that?
We've had so many debates, and my dad is a bit close-minded. Like he's like, oh, it would be amazing that they come here. And I'm like, but they have. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm like, the government is like not all the government, but part of the government is hiding, is like classifying. Like he's watched all the movies, all the documentaries. Like he's super like interested, but he's like, he doesn't believe that we're being lied to. When we talk about Roswell, he's like, it was a weather balloon. I'm like, okay. Okay. So it's kind of like a not a taboo, but like he knows I'm doing this project and everything, but like it's like it triggers me that he's like, he's not he thinks that people are making this stuff up, and it's not in his timing now. But I'm like, in like a couple years, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna be like, I told you so. I told you so. Yeah.
Keep standing tall in your truth. What about your mom? So do you feel, even if like with your dad's skepticism, were they supportive? I know they didn't kind of like put you into a particular religion, it sounds like, growing up.
No, no. That's the other thing. Like when I was really scared as a child, like he would be like, it's not true. Like if something would have happened, it would, because I would watch movies. Okay, this is kind of like embarrassing, but until I was 12 years old, like if I would watch like Jurassic Park at night, I was convinced that like they're still here. Like the dinosaurs are still here, and I would be a bit like scared. Like maybe I was like aware of other realms, and like I didn't want to, the like dark part of it. I was like, I don't want to see anything scary in my room. Like no, 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 no. And my dad would be like, it's not true. So it kind of helped me in a sense to like go back in my room and be like, okay, nothing's gonna happen, and then I would fall asleep. But yeah, so that like maybe that like closed off some of my gifts when I was a child, since I was scared and he was saying that it wasn't true. And my mom is spiritual, but she again with the ETs, it's like I feel like not that she doesn't really care, but it's not in her day to day. Like she won't like think about ETs and stuff. But
Yeah,
she's super in like she's like encouraging me to do what I do. So
definitely. And yeah, it's like that makes sense when things can be very real if you're able to sense other dimensions, especially as a child, and you are aware that there are things there, and if somebody else can't see that, there can be doubt, right, that creeps in, that they just want to protect you. Yeah, so it's sort of like initiation. You get to like overcome it in such a beautiful way, and yeah, get to say I told you so. Right. But you came here to do big things, no doubt, so that's beautiful. And speaking of, so like just kind of your experiences with them, and then just also being kind of a starseed old soul, is it difficult to have like surface level conversations with people? Are you wanting to go deep into like this kind of field?
all the time, but at the same time, like I'm able to do all the surface level stuff. I'm just like, oh, why aren't people like talking to me about all this stuff? Like clearly like it's my passion, but I respect, like I know it's, because that's the thing, it's like I know it's true, but for some people they might see it as a belief system, like, oh, you believe in extraterrestrials. I'm like, no, it goes further than that, but I don't want to like convert anyone, or that's why I want to do it like smoothly, like to not, because like I said, it's still like a belief. They see it as a belief system or a religion, or
Yeah, so you're not trying to convince other people that they have to believe in this or think the same way you do, but just to also share that this is a part of you, and a belief that you have, and to impact the world for maybe those who are ready to learn more, or to make contact, or that are just interested in it.
But at the same time, it's like I want to be like a teacher of like this all of this should have been taught in school. That's my opinion, because it's facts, real facts, the real history. So I'm gonna share everything I know,
Yeah, there's a
And those who are open to, like it'll depend if it resonates with them or not. But I'm not gonna like, I don't want to like argue with people.
Yeah, 100%. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of information that can be disclosed. We'll get into that, and I want to talk a little bit more about your UFO experiences in a moment. Here, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-fired heating and cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com.
Tickets are now on sale for Rebels of Disclosure 2025, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois at the beautiful Pierre Marquette Lodge and Conference Center. This will be a 4-day event with 12 speakers covering topics such as ET contact, experiencer testimonies, lost history, secret space programs, time travel, Illuminati, parallel realities, and so much more. Visit journeytotruth.online for more details.
The UNX Network classes and workshops are enrolling now for 2025. If you're interested in psychic protection, chakra balancing, dowsing, or perhaps healing with sound and music, visit unxnetwork.com to see our complete series of live and on-demand classes and workshops hosted by the one and only Margie K. For example, in January 2025, you could spend 4 Saturdays with Margie for her exclusive live remote viewing workshop. Margie K is one of the most accomplished remote viewers in the world, and she will share her secrets and totally unique methods in this course. Some courses are open now. Seating is limited for these live courses, so register now at unxnetwork.com. UNX members use promo code XMEM for an additional 15% discount.
Tickets are now on sale for
And welcome back to Starseed Ascension. I am here tonight with Chloé De Chevigny, and we are talking about ET Contact, her film and documentary, and her UFO experiences as well. Welcome back, Chloé.
Thank you.
All right. So I know you started to mention lights around a UFO that you had witnessed and how that had started for you last summer. Do you want to go back there and just share a little bit more about your UFO experiences, how that came about, what you perceived them to be or look like, that sort of thing?
So me and my boyfriend found CE5 in the beginning of last summer. And so we would whenever we would have time to go outside and star watch, we would. And so we were on a road trip to go to Toronto, and we slept because we would do car camping. And so we slept in this park in Belleville where I was actually born. It just ended up we were tired of driving, and we're like, oh, we found a nice park, and so we parked there. And there's a big soccer field, and I was like, let's go skywatch. Let's go do a CE5, just me and him. So we went, we had a blanket, music, like high frequency music, and we would meditate, but not like for too long. and I saw my first blue orb that appeared. It wasn't that far. It was like above a tree that was like right in front of me, and it just like did, and like it just like faded out. And I was like, whoa, like I was just super happy. I was like, this works. And so we continued, and then the same night, like we saw a gold orb that like did this like semicircle around us, faded out. We saw like it was moving like a satellite, but it did like 4 flashes, and at one point I was like about to finish my thought of like, can you flash again? And it like flashed super clear. So I was like, whoa, like, because I tried to talk to them telepathically, and yeah, and like another type of flash. So they were all like not acting the same way. So that's why I'm like, are they 4 different? Are they, for example, the gold orb that like just moved slowly around us for a few minutes? It was there. We were just like, I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always say thank you. Was that the same thing as the other one that was really high up and was flashing? So I'm still like not too sure about that. And they've appeared maybe like every other time I go out and look at the sky, I at least get like a bright flash. Or like a few days ago, maybe last week, I live in Montreal, the city, and from my balcony, sometimes in the minus 15 Celsius temperatures, I'm like, I want a sky watch. I go out, and within like 5-10 minutes, a blue light, a blue orb, the same type of orb was there and just faded out. And I'm like, I'm alone. No one saw it. I'm the only one who saw it. And that it was pretty low, and it's like, I'm in the city, so they can show up anywhere. So if I go to my mom's place or wherever I am, I take the time to look at the sky. And one day I was on a set. We were like in another city, and we were a lot of people on the set. It was outside and it was dark, and I just like had the instinct to look up, and one big flash, and I was like, no one saw it. I'm the only, it was for me. It was just for me. No, I because my boyfriend, sometimes we work on sets together, and he was far away. I was like, a flash just appeared above me. So wherever you are, they can show up.
Yeah, and sometimes they're just meant for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, did your boyfriend see the first one that you saw?
The first blue one, no, because sometimes it happens so fast, and you know, when you focus on one part of the sky, sometimes you don't see like the other parts of the sky. So that one he did not see. The gold one, we were like both looking at it at the same time. He saw like a kind of like a white line, but not like when there's a shooting star. You know, it's like it does a line, but like it's like fades out in the back. But this was just like as if it like cloaked in, was a line, and then wasn't there anymore. That I didn't see. So it's interesting that sometimes it's meant for one person but not the other. And sometimes when I'm at his mother's place, he'll stay in the house and I'm outside, and I see orbs. But if he was with me, he would probably see it too. So yeah, it's interesting how it works. And sometimes they don't show up. It's like it's on them. I'm like, if you're not busy, if you want to come say hi, I'm like, if you want to come out and play, because I know some of them have like a playful energy. So I try and say anything that will maybe bring them.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. And I've been in that situation before where like you see it, the other person doesn't, and you're super excited and you're like, you just missed it. And you want to share. But you know, what's important, I think, to add to your experiences is that like sometimes people will say, you know, like, well, man-made technology like exists now, right? Like that have certain capabilities and features, but like what you're talking about is interplay and interaction. Like you went there with intention of calling it in. You played some high frequency music. I love that. You even meditated a little bit, and you know, they're showing up. Is it almost like they are popping out sometimes just to say hi, we're here? Do you feel like?
Yes, and I get so happy and even a bit emotional because I'm like, they're coming from I don't know where, like probably far away, or I don't know. It's just like, and they're also like maybe lowering down their frequency to like pop in, like cloak in for a second. So I'm like, I'm just so grateful that they take the time to come out and say hi.
Yeah, they haven't forgotten about you.
I'm like, please don't leave me.
I feel you. So do you feel then, Chloe, you know, and maybe this answer is like obvious, but do you feel that we as a humanity to get to that contact, even though contact's already happening, that we have to raise our frequency so we can connect in those more expansive ways?
I think we do need to raise our frequency, but at the same time, like for example, if someone's like going through a rough time and, you know, like going through like lower vibrations and everything, I'm pretty sure like if they took a few like some time to meditate and have that intention, I'm pretty sure they would still show up if that's what the person wants. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it has to do with like in the moment you need to be higher in frequency, but for sure, like a lot of them, like even just like showing up in front of someone who, like even me, I truly believe that I haven't seen a physical ET yet, because maybe they know that my body would be like in shock for like, I don't know, it's never happened, and I do get anxious sometimes, you know, like I want to be honest. So maybe they know that and they're like like for my own like divine timing, they don't want to like push it. And I think so. Yes, I do believe that we also need to raise our frequency so that it doesn't shock our body and our DNA.
Sure.
So yeah, but everyone has a different path, a different journey. So not everyone works the same way, and not I don't think everyone like will have contact in the same ways either, because you can like I've been receiving downloads for a long time, and like I always like followed my intuition, and like that's why I feel like I was always like connected to my higher self. But downloads is a form of contact. It's not like physical, but it's still contact when you receive like nudges of for example, I was living in Tofino on the west coast of Canada because I wasn't too sure like what I wanted to do yet, like with my life and everything. And so I was like, I'm just gonna travel and adventure. And I hit a wall over there, and like I was living in nature, and like people were super open-minded over there. It was like a surf town and everything. Like I had everything, but there was missing like that, maybe that mission work that I wasn't really aware of yet. And I was at the beach and I was kind of like crying, and I was just like, what am I doing? And I meditated for a little bit, and I just heard like film in my head, and I was like, shit, yeah, like I've always liked taking pictures, and I don't know, it just like I received that download, I believe, or it was my higher self that was like, film.
Wow.
And next day I was working in a restaurant, I was serving, and it was my lunch break, and so I go sit down, and the girl that was sitting beside me was visiting her friend who was my coworker, and they both are from Toronto, and she works in the film industry, and like we chatted for like an hour. I'm just there eating my food, and I was asking all of my questions, and it's like it was so like not planned out, but it couldn't be a coincidence. So, and then I decided to apply. I went to film school. I met my boyfriend. Now we live together. He's also a Starseed, and like we're in the you know, like everything is connected. It's crazy. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very synchronistic how that all lined up like that. And I wanted to ask about how you sort of started in the film industry, and that sounds so magical. So how did you get from then the start and the sort of magical download with the film to your interest in the documentary that you're creating now?
So I went to film school, and I found, because like I said earlier, like I don't like to be in school for for too long, and for me it's all about practice and experience, especially in film. Like, yeah, you learn, like there's film theory and everything, but once you're not on your first set, like you don't really know what it's gonna be, and each set is different. And so I found this program. It was 10 months, like nonstop, like full time. I was like, I'd rather do that than go to university and like do 3 or 4 years. And also here in Montreal, like the universities, like they don't give an internship. It's just like film school for like 2, 3, 4 years. And where I went, there's 180 hours of internship, like that you need to do to have your diploma. So I was like, that's perfect. You do the course. We touched everything: camera, editing, the pre-production, production, post-production. Like we really touched everything. We produced 2 short movies, and I directed one of them. Like the teachers chose me to be the director, and when I enrolled, like I knew I wanted to be a director. Like it's just like another intuition thing that I'm like, I don't see myself like just be at the camera or just do this. And so everything was super aligned, and I did my 180 hours internship, and I was doing only like big commercial sets, and also like an actual like series of a series. And then I met this guy who just calls me when he has contracts. So now I'm mostly on big commercial shoots, but
Okay.
then I'm like, okay, it's cool, the big commercial shoots for brands and everything, but I'm like, there's no message in those. You know what I mean? It's just it's to sell products. I'm like, I love the set, the production part of it, but and the creativity, like honestly, like in Montreal, like the commercials are very like they're funky, and like I worked with multiple directors, so like I like the ambiance of commercials, but at the same time I'm like, what about what's going on in the universe? So that's why I'm like,
bigger questions on your mind and heart.
Yeah. So I'm like, I know I want to be a director, but I also want to share this information. So I'm like mixing both together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. And so, yeah, so it sounds like that was sort of born with your intention, your passion, your creativity. What kind of information are you looking for your documentary then?
So I really want to like dive into like the stories of people that like have seen ETs and like physically, like you said. I'm working with I have a few people that are like working with me on the project, and one of him is Kevin Briggs, and he's in his 70s now, but at 8 years old, two Arcturians showed up in his bathroom, and like he's had contact like ever since, and he's like been on ship and like on like with his astral body, like they're called the Council of Eight, and they're like there's multiple different beings. I'm like, I want to be able to like share these stories and be able to like also reenact some of those events, to like be able to see what he was like seeing, and getting actors to play Kevin when he was 8 years old in his bathtub, and just also like, because it would be a series, because there's so much information, like to like one documentary is not enough, so I'm like, let's just do a series, and within those stories, like just like give information on like well, in like the history of like uh ETs, with like the our our origins of us humans, like our having our DNA being like mixed with multiple different star races and all of that. So just give like overall information of like the our real history, the history of humanity, and talk about all the benevolent beings and their technology and their spiritual like knowledge, and all the different dimensions. And it's just, there's so much to talk about. There's just so much, and I feel like a lot of, not a lot, but some of the documentaries are like a bit fear-based with like abductions, and I'm aware that this stuff is also going on with like people being abducted like without their consent and everything, but I'm like, we should focus on like all the positive beings, the Galactic Federation. They're all there. They're just like trying their best with all their contracts and like the universal laws to like help, but at the same time like let us like within our like our own evolution of humanity, we need to like, it needs to also come from us, like the law of like interference, non-interference. We need to decide for ourselves that which timeline do we want to choose as a collective, the fear-based one and the control, the manipulation, or the timeline where we go back to our roots of like collaborating, sharing, just living with nature, like all of that. And it's possible. We just need to choose that timeline.
I love that. And you read my mind and answered a question that I was thinking of, which was, talking about the importance of why, your focus is the positive impacts and experiences. And, you mentioned that there are other experiences that have happened, and it sounds like, if you're looking at a fear-based or a kind of like a love-based timeline, and, like you said, the law of non-intervention. So the galactics or ETs, they can't do it for us. They can support us, but we're still making the choices and all of that. So do you feel like by focusing on the positive experience and gaining more exposure and sharing that information with people, that will help us create that reality, and bring through that timeline with more certainty? Is that what you're saying in a sense?
Exactly. It's like the ancient civilizations of like Atlantis and Lemuria and all of that. It's like we've been there before. It's within our DNA. Like, it's just that we forgot because of all the manipulation. But we can remember. I truly believe that like with people stepping up and talking about it, and then with social media, like now these days, of course I follow people that are starseeds and everything, but even just that, like there's so much information and disclosure within the people's disclosure, like not that the governments are doing it, because we can't really rely on that for now, and we can rely on ourselves and what we know. But I lost my train of thought.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fear, like, did you have any fear yourself, releasing this information and sharing it and talking about it? Just like as you were sharing, like, your dad being a little skeptical and talking about it, or do you feel like you get receive positive feedback and support from other people?
Yeah, maybe like there's a little bit of fear. Like it's more my dad, especially, like just because. Anyways, I want, but at the same time, it's like for me, being authentic is like that's the most important thing, and like he'll just follow along eventually. So I'm like, I know my truth, and I'm aware of like what's going on. So at this point, I'm just like, I just want people to know like how the system and everything is like so controlled, and like there's like so much of it that I'm like, this is not for our highest good, and this is not how we're gonna unlock our full potential. That's all I'm saying. Like, and things need to change. Like they need to I'm just like, ET technology, free energy. The other day, like yesterday or the night before, the power went out. I'm like, if free energy was declassified, this would never happen. Like, it's just like, it's
Right.
just frustrating, like, and I was born in the 2000s, so I'm like, I was born and there was already like technology and everything, and I'm like, I see the positive side of technology. Like it can be a debate on like, AI and everything, but I'm like, when I use my phone, like I can get information like this, so I see it as a positive, like a tool. We should use technology as a tool. So yeah, like putting gas in my car, I'm like, this is old school. It's old school.
You came in light years ahead of your time, ready to pull it through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, it's available, right? We just haven't kind of disclosed it. So, well, amazing, Chloe. I'm like so happy and excited you're here sharing this information. Excited to watch your documentary. Any last messages you want to share, and how can people contact you if they want to connect with you?
So My last message would be do your own research and go with what resonates with you. And maybe, we're constantly changing, evolving. So maybe some information right now seems absurd, but maybe with time you're gonna, open up to that information. So do your own research and don't fall for the fear-based manipulation that's going on, and stand in your truth. And you can reach me I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Everything is my name, like is written here. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So I have a website too, so it's chloedechevigny.com. Very simple.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your positive messages, experiences, your creative projects. We're very grateful. And thank you, Chloe. Thank you for everybody watching and listening. Until next time, may you find peace in the mystery of the cosmos, and much love.